You know, I'm just not even going to make an intro for this video. The people who don't care or don't want to acknowledge the biggest issue simply won't watch or will comment the dumbest assumption based on the title alone. The current Royal High community has a serious toxicity issue in the worst case of rose-tinted glasses when it comes to old Royal High I've ever seen in a community. Yes, Royal High is not perfect, there's stuff in the game that's been neglected for years. Yes, you're allowed to not like things and also share that opinion with the developers in hopes they can improve on that issue or include future content that's more to your liking. Yes, you're allowed to feel nostalgic and miss how old Royal High was in the late 2010s. I myself have been playing since the pre-Fantasia and Chantix era. I have history with this game, and I do have moments of just wishing I could experience it all one more time. But I've managed to come to terms with the fact that the past is never going to come back, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not throwing away those memories or anything because I'm happy to have memories playing those old realms and updates and having a timeline of Royal High memories that almost make me feel proud in a way because I've had the opportunity to watch the game grow and develop. And, you know, you can go sit in those old realms in your original outfit from 2018, but you'll never truly be able to recreate that feeling you get when remembering how it used to be. It's always going to feel lacking and empty. So, instead of constantly trying to bring the past back, why not try to embrace the present and the future? Create new memories you'll be able to feel nostalgic about in a few years' time when Royal High is like VR compatible or something. Now, I know what you guys are going to say, but roleplay is dead. Yeah, because we as a player base killed it. Let me explain. The trading update came out when the world had to stay indoors for the first time, which caused Roblox's player count to skyrocket, meaning Royal High got tons of new players, just as older players were enjoying the new trading update. Now, when you're a new player to a game, especially a game like Royal High where there's no kind of direction or end goal, and it's completely up to you what you do in it, of course the new players are going to be looking at what the older, higher level players are doing, because in the eye of a new player, whatever the higher level players are doing all the time must be where the fun comes from, right? And I'm not going to blame older players for being excited over a highly anticipated update just because thousands of new players checked in at the same time. No. To be honest, I'm not wanting to villainize any specific group of people, but more of just explain what led to trading being on top. You see, after the trading hype died down, most older players didn't go back to roleplaying, instead just wanting to item collect, or just stop playing because they didn't know where to find fun in the game anymore. Of course, the players who joined during the trading hype will only know item collecting because they were never introduced to Royal High roleplay, and if they also joined the community, well, what are the most popular Royal High jokes in the community? Just answer that for me. A lot of them are poking fun at types of roleplayers, right? It's a bit discouraging because roleplay should be fun, not you constantly being paranoid if the rest of the server finds you cringe. And don't even get me started on the trolls who find and ruin the few roleplays happening in the game. And the thing is, the people who complain the most about roleplay being dead are the same people who spend hours a day on Tradery and Twitter, complaining about trading whilst participating in trading, or just hate tweeting the devs. If you really want roleplay back, spend those hours roleplaying in servers or gathering people to do a roleplay with. Because one thing you will forget about when remembering your old Royal High roleplay memories is all the hours you spent roleplaying to yourself, hoping someone would join you, or you having to server hop to find a cool roleplay, but that entire time you were never acknowledged by the other players. It wasn't just join a server, boom, amazing roleplay like many people like to claim it was, so why would it be like that now? If you want roleplay back, don't expect someone else to revive it for you. Stop ruining people's roleplays and get some new jokes because man are the Jake jokes stale now. And also, new players definitely copy and imitate the older players in this community. I know because a lot of the people who are in the Bring Old Royal High Back bandwagon joined in 2020 or later. A lot of these kids never experienced Old Royal High but are trusting the words of these older players who are so passionate about Old Royal High. They only say all the good things about it and they hate everything that's new about the game. And that creates a big issue. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if it's just the new players saying this, but everyone who has witnessed these comments being said say it is, because this issue seems to be happening the most on TikTok, and I'm not too active there. People have been using Lizzie Winkle's name to bring the current modelers for the game down, and some have also used Lizzie's own passing to mark the supposed death of Royale High. Now, I cannot express how upset and disappointed that makes me without crying. The fact that some of you are so fucking disrespectful to weaponize the name and death of a 15-year-old girl against developers of the same age beyond disgusts me. Do you not realize what you are saying? Some of these developers were friends with Lizzie. The people whose posts you're leaving these comments on could have been there for when the news of her passing was made public and mourned alongside the entire community. Your disgusting comments of, bring Lizzie back, we need Lizzie and Tsukimeki back, Royale High died when Lizzie did, shows that you were never here for when Lizzie was alive, but you never cared about old Royale High or its community, and you're only interested in using her against the new devs to make them feel like shit. Even if Lizzie had a choice, what would she think of the community now? And the sad truth is, you'd all just treat her the same way you treat all the devs now, because you guys only respect the people who are absent from the current development team. Tsukimeki took a break because of her mental health 2 years ago. Do you really think she'd want to return to such a toxic environment where developers' creativity is constantly criticised and compared? And you know the funny thing? Back in 2019, Tsukimeki's sets were criticised, called weird looking, too tall or inappropriate. Every single set that's ever been added to this game has been hated on, including Tsukimeki's. Ever wondered why the Shadow Empress sleeves are in such high demand in trading in 2020? Well, that's because when the set first came out in October 2019, a lot of people didn't like the sleeves and thought the hands looked uncanny, and so a lot of people didn't buy them. Now look. People hate everything that's new, but as soon as it's considered rare or expensive, it's suddenly the best thing anyone has ever seen. Back in 2020, when the Winter 2018 Halo was the lowest tier Halo, people called it ugly and even bullied players who wore it. Then a rumour popped up that Lizzie made it, and suddenly, the same people were wanting the Halo and calling it pretty. You guys have a bias, and it's dumb. Even just recently, with the set dramas and body positivity, no set will ever be good enough for you. It's either too tall, too short, too curvy, too thin, so on and so forth. And I really hope a plus size set gets added and doesn't get dragged through the dirt like every other set has, because all these sets represent someone's body type, but you are also quick to insult the sets for being too tall, too short, too curvy, too thin, and that's the opposite of body positivity and acceptance you pretend to preach. Plus size people are yet to be represented in the game, and I do hope players with that body type can have that wonderful experience of seeing a gorgeous outfit being modelled by their body type in Royale High soon, and I hope the dumb, two-faced hypocrites won't ruin that moment for them. The thing is, I have a disappointing feeling that people are going to just flip like a light switch, as they've done with the dozen other sets. Darling Valentina is in no way plus size, but I bring it up since Ocean Orbs did intend for the set to represent a bit more of a chubbier body type, and I apologise if that's not the correct wording. And what did the community have to say about the set? Well, apparently the legs were too fat and the bodice was too wide, and didn't look flawless when mixed with Tsukimeki set pieces. Okay guys, if we're going to have sets representing various different body types, they aren't going to flawlessly fit together when you mix and match them. Like, the amount of people hating on the December Dream set because it looked weird when mixed with a curvy set like Shadow Empress? What were you expecting? And some of you guys hate this game so much, you'll attack the people who like the new sets and updates, say they're wrong, call them bootlickers, accuse them of lying just to make the devs feel better. Since when did you decide how people should feel about new content in a princess game? And whilst we're on that topic, let's also address how you guys like to control how Black POC in this community should feel about the names given to hairstyles that were added in the game for them. Black members of this community have spoken up time and time again about their discomfort regarding the stereotypical names given to the black hairstyles, and have even offered name suggestions for them all. And you, a person who probably doesn't understand the history and cultural significance behind those styles, and probably aren't affected by the racial stereotypes that affect Black POC in real life, online, and even in Roblox, saying that they're being sensitive and that it's not that deep because it's a kid's game, which is also the same game that they experience racism in. Listen, if the current names do not bother you, if you are not affected by them, why would new names affect you? Changing item names isn't that hard. The devs literally changed the names of all the bodices not that long ago to make them easier to find in search. Changing the hairstyle names isn't that hard either, considering new unproblematic names have been offered to them by the community. There is no other excuse except you wanting to control other people's emotions on things that don't involve or concern you, because you are that ignorant and entitled. Now, let's talk about the developers, shall we? You guys treat them like utter shit. Just recently, one of you took one of Fur's tweets out of context, slapped it on TikTok saying he was calling black players ungrateful over something, and guess what? The people who saw that TikTok went and sent Fur death threats over something he never said. You guys try so unbelievably hard to villainize kids who make outfits for a Roblox game. You guys are the disgusting ones here. You constantly slander these people, insult every little thing they create, and make petitions in hopes they'll be kicked from the dev team. Do you really think Barbie is scrolling on change.org being like, oh, this 11-year-old kid doesn't like Vianci, guess I better fire him? No! Barbie doesn't even want to open her Twitter. Hell, she probably isn't even logged in. But despite that, she's still fully aware of how toxic you guys are, and it's affecting the game. It doesn't take a genius to realize the new school is taking so long because Barbie is afraid there's not enough features to keep you feral creatures satisfied upon first release. This community's toxicity is affecting the game negatively. You guys will eventually bully more and more people off of the dev team and out of the community. No new people will want to join because this community will be labelled as toxic, and potential developers will probably choose their own mental health over working for this game because you guys are never satisfied. You don't even know what you want because you have decided that whatever is provided will not be enough, and that you get more enjoyment out of being a bitch to the developers and any positive or mature person in this community. For people who say they want this game to be just as good as it used to be, you guys are sure doing a wonderful job of killing it, which is the exact opposite of what you pretend to preach. If we can just stop with this blind hatred and build a healthier relationship with the developers, they won't have to close themselves off, and we can communicate without people feeling frustrated or upset afterwards. We could get the new school faster if we stop ripping every update to shreds and calling the developers lazy. And don't get me wrong, the developers have things they need to act on and improve on, but how can they even think about doing that when there's hundreds, if not thousands of people constantly saying all the stuff they do? It's so difficult to create under pressure, and when you guys insult these devs and say their work isn't good enough, sometimes even right after they've joined the dev team, it causes a creative block. And if you've ever had a single creative thought in your life and had to present it to someone who's just gonna hate it for no real reason anyway, it's gonna have a real negative toll on your creativity, and you can see this in any and every community or profession that requires a creative medium to be consumed by an audience. As I said right at the start of the video, you don't have to like everything, but some of you will hate on a dev because they made a set based on 1950s winter fashion, or try to get a dev fired because you didn't want a punk style set. You need to draw a line between what just comes down to your own personal preference and things that are genuinely lacking or could have been done slightly different to improve the game. If you want old Royale High back in spirit, encourage creativity in both the game and community instead of constantly insulting and comparing everything. If you want roleplay back, show the new players who never got to experience it how it's done, and stop bullying people for their roleplay characters, because as long as they're not roleplaying triggering topics or NSFW, it's fine, just let people have fun. This is something we as a community need to do, because people love to pin all the blame on the game and the devs, but there's stuff the player base need to do too. The roleplays, the edits, the art, the in-game makeup and patterns, the videos, the concepts, the fountain stories, they all come from the players, not the developers. We can pin all the responsibility of Royal High Roleplay Revival on the new school, but if we don't make an effort to start roleplaying again, the new school will just become another realm people farm in and won't ever appreciate the rooms, features and details that were added for roleplay purposes. We'll never get the full experience of this highly awaited realm, and then you'll blame the devs for the school seeming boring. And if you really hate this game, even after I've addressed the biggest issues and offered solutions, that may be a sign that this game and community just isn't for you. And if you decide to leave or take a break, you don't have to get rid of your entire inventory. You could just leave it, and in the future, if you feel better and want to return, you still have all your old stuff. Just don't forget the password. Older players, coming from someone who has been playing since 2017, there's new memories to be made on this game and in this community, and if you're able to stop trying to find something that's gone, you'll discover and start to appreciate what's there. And stop making new players think there never used to be problems, okay? And to newer players, I hope that you'd be willing to help turn the community around, even if trading and toxicity is all you've known this game and community to be. I promise it can be better if we try. We're 11 days into a new year, so let's try to turn things around now, or things are just going to continue on and it's just going to lead to something tragic. If you want to boost this video so more people see it, leave a comment and share the video link around. And since YouTube algorithms also work on watch time and audience retention, just you listening to the whole video helped. If you have a platform on Royal High TikTok, Reddit or Instagram, I'd highly appreciate you sharing the video to your followers on those platforms, since this issue involves everyone to be on board. Quite frankly, I'm just tired at this point, so I hope this video sparks something in the community and isn't just me ranting to the void. Okay, I'm done now. Bye.